handout, we see here a general definition under the specified domestic entity table. We see here a general definition. This is language directly from Treasury Regulation 1.6038D-6A. And it says, a specified domestic entity is a domestic corporation, domestic partnership, or a trust described in IRC Section 7701A30E if such corporation, partnership, or trust is formed or availed of for the purpose of holding directly or indirectly specified foreign financial assets. Wow, what a sentence, huh? Let's read it again. A specified domestic entity is a domestic corporation, domestic partnership, and a trust described in IRC Section 7701A30E if such corporation, partnership, or trust is formed or availed of for the purposes of holding directly or indirectly specified foreign financial assets. You know, one of the reasons why I love international tax law is because every clause requires further interpretation. Let's see, pretty much everything here is subject to further analysis. Let's take this sentence apart. So we see here a specified foreign financial assets. We already talked about them. You have a full description of them. Well, I shouldn't say full description. It's as comprehensive as I can make it. At this point, obviously, there are assets that can be equivalent to the assets that you have listed in your handout. And that would be required to be reported on Form 8938. Domestic. Domestic corporation be pretty easy to understand. It's a corporation formed under the laws of any of the states of the United States. Partnership, for the purpose of not getting into any complex discussions, let's assume it's the same thing. Any partnership formed under the laws of the states of the United States. In actuality, there are certain rules which can make an entity that is formed in the United States a foreign partnership. We're not going to touch those today. And then a trust described in IRC Section 7701A30E. Basically, they're talking about the domestic trust. There's Section 7701A30E. It describes two tests, the control test and the court test, that must be met in order for the trust to be considered a domestic trust. Okay, now we're gonna get to the most interesting part. Formed or availed of for purposes of holding specified foreign financial assets. Now, if you just read it, the sentence, you would think that the IRS is talking about an entity formed with the intention of holding specified foreign financial assets. That there's going to be a discussion of intent, that's something that we have to dig into the evidence, dig into the facts, what was the purpose of establishing an entity. Nothing like that. It has, the intent here has no role whatsoever. Formed or availed for purposes of holding specified foreign financial assets, it actually means slightly different things for corporations of partnership versus trust, but it actually means complying with specific requirements. Now, what are these specific requirements? Let's start with the corporations and partnerships because it's a more complex analysis. Here on the second box, so to speak, I have a description, general description, that the corporation and partnership have to pass the closely held test and the passive test. What I suggest we do is we go to the second page of the handout. I have a nice diagram which I made myself to. Maybe it's not the prettiest, but it tries to simplify the analysis as much as possible.